If you run a business, you know the importance of collecting social proof for your company. And in this video, I'll show you a step-by-step automation that we've used to collect over 25 testimonials in the last 12 months. That means in the last 12 months, every 2 weeks, we were able to schedule, record, edit, and upload a testimonial video onto our website. And in this video, you'll see the exact breakdown on how you can build this system in your business so you can automate your testimonial collection process. My name is Tony, and I run an operations and automations company called OpsKings, and we've helped over 50 clients streamline and automate their business operations. And we'll show you a step-by-step process on how we automate our testimonial collection system. All right, so the first thing that we need to do is actually hop into AirTable and make sure we got a list of all of your clients. So here I have just a template base that I've created with some random clients to show my point. And the critical thing is that you have a table called clients, and in here, a list of all of your active clients. A really useful thing to do is, obviously, as your business is gonna be in business for a while, is to have a status called billing status, where it's basically a single select, and here you can basically discern if a client's new, if the client's in onboarding, if the client's currently active or churned, and that's going to allow you to basically manage which one of your clients are actually active and which ones are no longer. So let me just create this real quick. Awesome. So now we have all of your statuses basically for the billing status, and we can assign each one of these to one of your clients. So we're going to say, all right, all of these are active and one of these is actually churned. So what we can do right now is just create a view and call it active clients. And this will give us basically a more condensed view of what are the clients that we can actually ask for a testimonial. We'll make sure we can filter by billing status and actually select active. So awesome. Now we have 3 clients that we could potentially ask for a testimonial that are currently active. The next thing that we're going to need to do is create a single select status called Testimonial Status. So what we're going to use this status for is to try to figure out where is a particular client on the testimonial assembly line. And the normal statuses we use for this starts off with the first status, which is the client actually ready for a testimonial or not? And this step of the process is going to be very specific to your business. Meaning, you might have an internal KPI or an external KPI that you hit, and that signifies that a client's ready for a testimonial. Sometimes it might be more subjective, where you're just sort of judging it based on how well the calls are doing and how overall do you feel like the client is satisfied with the service. But you can automate this testimonial input process, you can call it that way. And the way we do this internally is we do weekly account reviews where our customer success managers basically fill out a form and they have a checkbox to basically signify, hey, is this client ready for a testimonial? And every time they check that box, we get a ping internally and it changes the status here to say basically ready for testimonial. That's how we know, all right, this client's ready to go through our testimonial flow. The status after that is asking the client for the testimonial. So that signifies the next stage in this process. And asking of a client, we like to keep it manual. You can automate it, that's for sure. If you run a higher volume business and you're working with a lot of, I would say, smaller ticket clients, then possibly automating this step by automatically sending an email or automatically sending a Slack message could be the move. But if you're working with more done for you clients, higher ticket, I would go against actually automating this step and actually do a manual reach out to one of your clients. There's 2 ways you can reach out to them. You can either send them a message, an email, or during the checkup call, you can actually ask them by the end of the call, if the call is going well and you feel like the client's happy with your service, you can sort of keep the last 5 to 10 minutes to ask the client, like, hey, are you liking this service? If so, would you mind, recording a student success interview for us? And then based off what the client says to you, you have this status called basically waiting for answer, which means you've asked the client for a testimonial and now you're waiting for them to respond. And there's 2 options where it can go from there. The client can either say, no, not now, maybe we can do it later, or just blatantly no. Or there's a second option where the client actually says yes. And if they say yes, we move it to the next stage called scheduling. And in scheduling, you're basically going to send them a Calendly link or your calendar link where they're going to actually book in a time with you to schedule in that time. The automations you can build around this is you can automate reminders where if a client said yes, you sent them a Calendly link, you can then remind them maybe every 24 hours, 48 hours, whatever the cadence might be. Again, if you're more on the done for you high ticket side, I would go against automating it, but maybe you can automate a ping internally to yourself, like, hey, don't forget to remind client to actually book in that time if they haven't already. And then once they scheduled, they move into status call scheduled, which is pretty self-explanatory. Then you hop on a call with them, recorded, which means now it's in the next stage called testimonial recorded. That's usually a sign for your edited team to take that raw footage and really start editing it. Once they edit it, it's ready for internal QA. You give it a look and make sure that everything's good, that everything's looking fine, the hook is fine, the editing's fine, the client doesn't want you to remove anything and stuff like that. If it passes internal QA, it goes to the next stage. If it doesn't, it goes to the step previously, which is failed QA, which means your editing team goes in, makes a couple of tweaks that you provided them, and then moves it back to QA. And the step after the internal QA process is uploading the testimonial to a video streaming service, and this can be either YouTube or Wistia, and whichever works. We prefer Wistia because it has some more custom analytics on how long has the video been watched, what's the average retention on the video and stuff like that. And then once it's there, your editing team can do this. They can then upload it to YouTube and, add a thumbnail to it. And that's really going to depend on how detailed do you want to go into actually putting into your testimonials. But the final step of this process is actually uploading it to your website. And then the steps after that can be maybe writing a written case study and stuff like that. So I'm going to just create these statuses real quick so you can get a glimpse of how this is going to work. All right, cool. So here are the statuses. And again, really simply, new, ready for testimonial, ask client for testimonial, client accepted, client denied, send scheduling link, scheduled, testimonial received, edits needed, internal QA, ready for upload to streaming service, and then uploaded to website. Again, these can be wider. This can be less as extensive as these are, but these are really the basic ones that we're normally seeing. Maybe steps after this, you can add stuff like, written case study, where you actually take the video testimonial and then turn that into a written case study. Again, you can do that. You might not need to do that, but these are the basic statuses that we're going to use. Now, the next step to actually turn this into an interface that your team and yourself can manage is we're going to take these statuses that we've created and actually create a Canban interface showing basically all the testimonials that we have available. So I'm just going to create here a new interface, and I'm going to call it the Testimonial Canban. So I'm going to add a page here, click Canban, go next, and go under table clients. And then the status I'm going to pick for the Canban is not going to be billing status. It's actually going to be testimonial status. Awesome. Perfect. So there we go. And we're going to hit publish. And this is basically going to show you a list of all of your clients and the status of their testimonial. And basically, the way you're going to use this Canban is you're going to have a list of all of your clients. And what you're going to do is just make sure you're monitoring this with your team consistently. And your only job is to move your clients to the right. So that's why we like to simplify it into a Canban. We like to simplify it into a pipeline. And for example, let's say Bob the Builder is ready for a testimonial because, your CSM or yourself feel like, all right, Bob could be the person we could ask for a testimonial. Then you move him into actually ask for a testimonial. Means you sent him a message or you actually hopped on a call with Bob and then you asked him, and then Bob can either deny you or accept you. And if he accepts you, you send him the scheduling link, which means it's here. You can then, again, build an automation reminder that basically tracks if Bob has scheduled a call or hasn't scheduled a call. And then, for example, if 24 or 48 hours pass, you get an internal notification like, hey, remind Bob to schedule in. And once he actually does, it can move directly to scheduled, and that's basically parked in there until you record. Once you record, it's in 60, testimonial recorded, and this is basically a sign for your editing team to take that raw footage and then edit it and add the hook and do the typical editing that you normally do. Again, this doesn't need to be hyper edited, super simple testimonials. Just add a hook, maybe a snippet of your logo, and then the reminder of that interview. And then once your editing team finishes, they can push it into internal QA, and then if you like it, it, you can push it into ready for upload. If you don't, you can push it into edits needed, and they can assign those edits and push it back into internal QA again. And then from then on, if it's ready for upload, that basically means for your team, hey, you can take this and upload this to the streaming service. Once they do, they upload this to YouTube, Vistia, whatever it is. Once it's uploaded, they upload it to the website, update your website with the new testimonial, and then maybe the final step you can do is actually do a written case study and make sure that you have all the formats of the testimonial completed. In terms of automating this process, there's a couple of low-hanging fruit that are fairly simple to automate, and you can figure out with a simple Google search on how to use Make or Zapier, and you'll be able to figure this out. So the basic stuff is just automating the input for the move of a client into ready for testimonial. As I said, we use a form where our team just presses a checkbox, and that then moves the status into ready for testimonial. So you basically want to be able to make sure that your team has a way of automatically notifying you and basically inputting a status change into this testimonial Canban. So that's one of the things that I would automate first. On top of that, the things you can automate is just like the simple stuff that are just gonna speed this entire process up and make it organized, which is the creation of the Google Docs or the Google Drive folders, and making sure that everything's linked in the right spot and make sure everyone has access to everything. Also, the thing that we normally do is just automate notifications based off of status changes. So if a status moves from like, hey, we've recorded a testimonial, the editing team can get a notification, hey, this testimonial has been recorded. Same way goes if your editing team finishes editing and actually moves it into QA, that you get notified, hey, your editing team is done with editing. You can now actually QA it. So like stuff like that's pretty, self-explanatory, pretty simple. Shouldn't be too complicated to do. The other things that you can automate to make this entire process better is auto-uploading to streaming services and then auto-uploading to your website. So these are a bit more advanced. And again, if you're doing a lot of volume, might be worthwhile to actually explore those as well. So now that you've seen how this process looks and is actually able to be built in your business, I would highly recommend you to start implementing this in your company as soon as possible. As I said, this thing allowed us to collect over 25 testimonials in the past year. That means every 2 weeks we were able to collect a testimonial. And before you get into actually collecting testimonials, you need to be able to deliver actually a really good service. So when you ask a client for a testimonial, they're more likely to say yes. One of the key components of delivering really good service is making sure that your team is equipped with the right SOPs on how to actually do the job. If you want to see how you can set that up, you can watch this next video.